Can I self-sponsor for an employer-sponsored visa? All right, we get asked this question a lot. And I'm not gonna be talking about general skilled migration, which is where you don't need a sponsor. That's a different type of visa. I'm talking about employer-sponsored visa. This is Nicholas Yock, a registered migration agent from Pathway to Oz. We've assisted with similar cases in the past. However, if someone owns a business in Australia, could that business sponsor themselves to apply for a 482 employer-sponsored visa? That's the question we're gonna answer today. The answer is yes, theoretically it is possible. If I own a company, so myself, Nicholas Yock, I'm from Brazil and I own a company, Nick's Carpentry Pty Ltd, and it's set up. Obviously applying to be a sponsor would be no issue. However, for it to sponsor myself is a very complicated and risky process, if I'm honest. So theoretically, the company is separate and you are separate. So there's two separate entities. So the company and yourself, right? So you're not sponsoring yourself because even if you own the company, it's a different entity. There's two different entities. That's an Australian company with an ACN and ABN, and you're over here, Nick Yock, right? Although it is theoretically possible, there are some things you can do which would give you a slight increase to give you a better chance of approval. Obviously, we do not recommend this pathway. Very, very, very risky, but I just thought I'd discuss it with you. Most importantly, you're gonna need to show that it's a genuine position and the position is not created to provide a migration pathway for yourself. Very importantly, you're gonna wanna show that the company's got a lot of business history, it's got turnover and it's got profit. So you want to show to immigration that it's got the financial capacity to employ. So if you've got a turnover which is quite low, maybe you're not making too much money, it's going to be very difficult to convince immigration that the business is able to employ you into the future. How much do you need? There's no specific amount. I'd be sketchy, I think, with less than 500,000 turnover. I mean, depends on the business, etc. You're gonna want to employ numerous employees, especially Australians. If it just employs you, good luck. Yeah, I don't think that's gonna get approved. But if I'm a carpentry company and I've got 2 Australian carpenters, we've got a couple of foreign employees, we've got an Australian bookkeeper, etc. We've got that financial history and it does have a history of employing. So it builds on the evidence that, yeah, the company will probably be able to, in the future, continue to sponsor or continue to operate, I should say. You're gonna wanna show that if I'm applying for the carpentry position, I'm gonna be working as a carpenter, not as the owner and builder and manager of this business, all right? So I'm gonna be just doing the carpentry. That's my occupation that I'm nominating for. I would probably want to have an accounting company who's going to handle all the bookkeeping, who's going to handle all the reports, that sort of stuff. If it's big enough, have some sort of HR function in there as well to basically show to immigration, no, I'm on the tools. I'm a carpenter. I'm not running this whole business. So you want to have that distinction and sort of say, no, we've got this company, this accounting company, which does this, and this is me over here doing the occupation that I'm nominated for. Now, obviously, like any visa as well, you're going to want to show there is a genuine need for the position. Get industry reports. Is there a massive shortage? Can you get a separate HR advisor to comment on it? Obviously, labor market testing. We want to show you cannot find a company to fill the role. So for carpentry, this is great because obviously there's a massive shortage of carpenters. For a content creator, it could be a lot more difficult because, look, I'm on the Gold Coast and there's a ton. But you want to show there's a genuine need and you cannot find anyone else to fill the role. You're going to get highly scrutinized by immigration about this. I hope you found that information helpful. Obviously, it is a very risky application and potentially only available or have a chance under select circumstances. However, if you want to discuss your specific situation, feel free to jump on, book in a consultation and chat with one of our registered migration agents who can discuss your situation in detail. Thank you.